What a wild Thursday night football game between the Texans and the Jets. We'll break down the significance of the result and, of course, preview the Week 9 NFL slate. It's the Jake Asman Football Show, and it starts right now.
Oh, yeah. It's time for the Jake Asman Football Show. Brought to you by BetUS. Expert betting odds and fantasy stats. So let's get into some NFL football. Brought to you by our friends at BetUS. So get your questions ready. Here's your host, Jake Asman.
Here we go. Welcome in, everybody. It is indeed the Jake Asman Football Show, and joining us every Friday in his usual spot on the program is my dear friend, Cole Thompson. We are presented by BetUS. For any of the games you hear us discussing, you can place a wager on it by going over to BetUS's website right now and using that promo code YouTube150 to take advantage of a 150% sign-up bonus. Cole, a lot to get into. Man, happy Movember to you as well. A nice mustache.
Happy Movember is right around the corner. I had to start chugging the cold brew this morning because I just could not deal with how little I slept last night, seeing that pitiful performance from the Houston Texans, one of the worst 6-3 teams I have ever seen. It is a Hawaiian Friday, and congratulations, Jake Asman, for two reasons. Number one, you, my friend, now have a team that very well could find its way back into the postseason picture. The version we saw last night is why you have hope and intent around New York. But more importantly, and for all the Asmaniacs out there, congratulations on 40,000 subscribers. I am beyond proud of you. I am so happy to see that you're continuing this journey. And more importantly, I'm just blessed to be a part of the process.
1, 2, 1, 2. I was having some mic issues there. I heard you congratulate me, though, on the subscribers. You can hear me, right? We're good? This thing on?
Yeah, you're fine.
All right, we're good. Thank you, Cole. I appreciate it. You're a big part of this. Thank you to everyone who watches the Jake Asman Football Show, and obviously everyone who supports the normal Jake Asman Jet Show. We'll get right into the game, though, from last night, man, because you and I both know both these teams really well. And it's interesting because the Jets were a favorite going into this game. And as the game played out, you kind of saw why, right? Like, as bad as the Jets had played at various points this year, they're a kicker away from probably being 4-4 going into that game last night. Whereas the Texans, 6-2 coming in, won a lot of tight one-score games. Their point differential was only +8. You compare that to some of the other first-place teams in the conference, and it's by far the lowest. I thought the Texans last night, Cole, you kind of saw some of their fatal flaws. Their offensive line cannot protect C.J. Stroud, and it felt like the Texans didn't have any game plan to adjust to the Jet pass rush. We saw the Jets get the ball out quick into their playmakers' hands with Rodgers. The Texans, I felt like, maybe asking a little too much of C.J. Stroud last night, and he, quite frankly, missed some throws when there were plays to be made downfield.
Listen, at the end of the day, it just felt like it was a car wreck that continued to stockpile and push itself forward, and then another flip and another flip. And ultimately, that hurt Houston. They didn't game plan at all for looking at what was the game case for a guy like Stephon Diggs. They weren't able to find any life or consistency when it came to the pass rush once Will Anderson Jr. left in the first quarter. They weren't able to manage or micromanage anything that was going on behind closed doors when you lost Kenyon Green. And because of that, it ultimately cost them. Kendrick Green had a couple of good plays, he had a good pancake block at one point, but overall, it was a very underwhelming performance on a short week when they were already dealing with injuries. And now they got 9 days to regroup. But really, these 9 days are going to be important, Jake, because they're going to have to go out and add in somebody on the trade deadline. And it's for two different positions now. Because number one, Kenyon Green is out for the year with a shoulder injury. So the left guard position is going to have to be added somewhere simply because of roster reconstruction. But number two, they got to bring in another receiver. I like John Mechie. I like Xavier Hutchinson. I do think that Steven Sims adds some value. Same thing for Robert Woods. But at the end of the day, it still is a one-man wrecking crew. It's Tank Dell or it's Nico Collins, and both of them out there, you're going to see a lot of targets come the way to probably number 12 and not number 3. But the thing that worked for Houston was their ability to trust the run game with Joe Mixon to open up the passing attack with number 12. And we haven't been able to see it full at speed because of the second that you get back Joe Mixon, you lose Nico Collins. The question is going to be, what is the overall asking price on the market? Who are going to be teams interested in selling, and what are they going to look for in return? Is it a trade of a player? Is it potentially a high-profile draft pick? I mean, we've heard names like Jacoby Myers and Darius Slayton be thrown out there, but are they really worth day 2 selections on rental contracts? Probably not. So that's going to be a major deal for, I think, Nick Caserio over the next several days as he tries to figure out what is the best course of action for Houston. Because yes, they are a 6-3 team. Yes, they have a 2-game lead over everybody in the AFC South. But be real for a minute, Jake. The team yesterday that we saw take the field has been the team we have seen all year. And Titus Howard said post-game, we allowed this game to get away from us. We did not game plan properly. We felt like we were the better team. Bull honky, no questions whatsoever. Greg Zuerlein making a couple of field goals. This team is sitting at 5-4 up in Florham Park, New York, or New Jersey. You look at where this team is right now for Houston. They're very lucky to be sitting at 6-3.
Ultimately, a win's a win for the Jets, and they needed it badly. From their perspective, Cole, you look at their schedule coming up. At Arizona, home against Indianapolis, will likely be a favorite at BetUS in both of those games. 5-6 into the bye week. Jets get a chance to get healthy. How do you view this Jets team? What stood out last night? Is it, hey, just one win, or did the Jets show you anything that makes you believe in an AFC that is very watered down this year, especially at the end? We're going to have some flawed teams really competing for some playoff spots in the wild card. Did the Jets show you anything last night that makes you think they still have some meaningful football they could play this year?
You watch as Aaron Rodgers connects twice with Devontae Adams, once on 4th down and once when he's lined up in the slot against Jalen Petrie, and then you say to yourself, oh, that's why we went and brought him in. That's why he fits our system. That's why he was meant to be a part of this organization, because of its working. Just those 2 plays alone solidified why you can believe in this offense and why you think that there is a second punch. Malachi Corley not dropping the football at the 1-yard line for a touchback probably puts you up by almost 20 points in this matchup. So that's a good number 4 receiver, despite losing Alan Lazard. Unless you get an unheralded asking price for Mike Williams, he's going to be your number 3. And Garrett Wilson made arguably the catch of the year, if not one of the best catches we have seen since Odell Beckham did it at MetLife Stadium against a Texas-based team in 2014.
Unreal, man. Unreal.
You do stuff like that, that's what shows that you have the capabilities. The self-inflicting wounds on the offensive line, like a 3rd down conversion that gets thrown back from 3rd and 9 to now 3rd and 19. That's one thing, but it's correctable on a guy like Olu Fashanu. It certainly is correctable on the defensive side, but you did see players step on up. You watched as Will McDonald continue to live up to the year 2 hype coming out of Iowa State and top 15 draft status. He's number 2 in the NFL. Actually, I think he's number 1 in the NFL this morning in sacks this year. So you're already seeing what he provides value in. Quinnen Williams is a stud and probably still one of the most underrated defensive players in the NFL. Safety play, I thought, played really well last night, despite not having Ashton Davis out there. They're going to get healthy on the back end. They could easily find themselves sitting somewhere in that 500 range going into the bye week. And then as you brought it up, Jake, who really are the contenders in the AFC right now? Naturally, you got to throw, I think, Baltimore, Kansas City, and Buffalo at the top, and Houston because of they are going to win the AFC South. But there's 3 wild card spots, and every single one of them could be connected by, I'd say, 6 teams, anywhere between Pittsburgh, Indianapolis. You can throw probably in Cincinnati. I'm not ready to rule out Denver entirely just yet. The New York Jets, depending on what Tua looks like when he comes back from Miami, they might be in the running. Like, this is where the Jets sit. They control their path to at least making it to the wild card round. And I saw enough last night offensively to believe that this is still a team that can strike at any given moment. They have a good 1-2 combination in the backfield, headlined by Braylon Allen and Breece Hall. They can pass it like no one's business. As long as they're not the ones fumbling the bag and shooting themselves in the foot, this is still a team that can find a way to probably make some noise getting into the month of January and maybe even go on a run deep into the postseason.
We're talking with Cole Thompson, his weekly spot on the Jake Asman Football Show. I want to give a huge shout out to Connor Long, who decided to drop a 5 spot of channel memberships gifted for the people on the Jake Asman Football Show. Yeah.
Free stuff.
That voice you hear is Cody Stutes, who is sad about his Houston Texans. So a double whammy here on the Jake Asman Football Show. Daryl Osborne, Jorge Galvez, Dean Paparella, Marcus Alfonso, and Peter all receiving channel memberships there from Connor. Shout out to Joseph Micah, who became a channel member as well. We're going to get to the Week 9 slate. But Cole, any other final thoughts on this game last night? Obviously, it involves the team I cover and you cover, so we had to lead the Jake Asman Football Show breaking it down.
Yeah, here's the deal, Jake. I never understood why we were giving so much credit to Houston when we were getting so much flack to the New York. New York was always a flawed team, but New York was flawed in one major area that cost them 2 wins. Kicking. Greg Zuerlein's on the IR. Guess what? Now you get to turn the corner. Now you feel like maybe Riley Patterson will be the guy. And if he's not, well, you just continue to replace him until you find the dude long term. And yes, is there a culture problem? Absolutely. Do the Jets have to find a way to make sure they bring in the right personnel this offseason? Absolutely. But the talent is there. For Houston, this has been a long time coming. It has been literally on the doorstep for months at this point. You look at where the Texans were, it was always the Nico Collins show. And then when it wasn't the Nico Collins show, it was the Joe Mixon show. But they didn't have that secondary punch. They also didn't have that secondary playmaker at the second level of the defense. And you saw some rookie mistakes from a young cornerback in Kamari Laster that eventually would come back to bite him in the ass when they played against a more qualified team. This is not a good Texans roster, and it's because of the offensive line. The countless careless errors by the front five that allows CJ Stroud to find his way into the turf, in a turf to where he got hurt last year. And so I just don't understand why so many people are looking this morning and saying, well, we're 6-3. We still have an opportunity to control our own destiny. Guys, this is where you get to be on front and center stage and show all your flaws to the rest of the country, because it doesn't slow down. In 9 days, you welcome down to NRG Stadium, arguably my pick to win the Super Bowl in the Detroit Lions. And then 6 days after that, you go travel to Arlington to take on the likes of Dak Prescott and the Dallas Cowboys. Not to mention you still got matchups against Baltimore, Miami, Kansas City. You don't know what you're going to get in Tennessee. Thank God that you were able to control a 3-0 pathway to the likes of the AFC South Division, because you were a close call away from losing to Buffalo. You were a close call away from losing to Jacksonville. You were a close call away from losing to Indianapolis. This is not a team that should be feeling high and mighty at 6-3. And in fact, that you're looking at a 3-6 roster, that is where I look at the New York Jets as the team that you can believe in.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's get to the Week 9 slate. Before we do any of that, though, reminder, this is the Jake Asman Football Show presented by BetUS. Before we get to all the games we're going to talk about, another reminder that BetUS has the best odds you could find on any of the NFL games, college football as well. 150% sign-up bonus on your first deposit, and you get 125% on your second and third deposit. Start playing today. Use that promo code you hear me mention, YouTube150, to take advantage of what BetUS has to offer. Cole, the schedule is up on the screen. We'll make our picks at the end. You and I are both, by the way, tied overall in the season, each coming off a 2-1 week. We've been red hot of late, so if you're watching the show and taking our picks, we've been winning.
You're making money.
That's right. As far as the schedule goes, I want to hit on the Packer and Lions game, because that to me is the most intriguing game on the slate. You tell me if I'm wrong. Is that the number one game you're eyeing too?
I think it's probably number 2, and the only reason why I put it at 2 is because if you are going to see a matchup on Sunday night between two teams that might need a rebound win better than most, and that's Indianapolis and Minnesota. Indianapolis is moving off of Anthony Richardson. They're turning back to legendary Mr. Elite himself, Joe Flacco. And then you talk about the Vikings. They looked awful at times, especially on third down against the Los Angeles Rams. So if they can respond in a very dreaded NFC North, they still control their pathway to winning the division. But if not, they're just starting to tumble down the pecking order and not look like a team that is even going to make the postseason. Where I think when you look at Detroit and Green Bay, the way that they have played with insufficient quarterback play at times, or limited quarterback play, maybe not insufficient is the right word, but still able to capitalize and beat up on anybody, then in my opinion, they're both playoff bound rosters. I think that Indianapolis can be a dark horse to make it to the AFC playoffs. I think that Minnesota should be a favorite to make it to the NFC playoffs. But I look right now at where the Lions and the Packers are. They're two solid overall teams. The Packers are one of the best defenses in the NFL. The Lions are one of the more well-rounded teams in the NFL. Like, name the last time that you saw a 40-point swing differential where a quarterback threw for less than 200 yards. Yeah, that's what we got last week. So I'm talking about this Lions squad. I think it is probably the best game, but the most intrigued I'm at is Sunday Night Football between the Vikings and the Colts.
Ladies and gentlemen, he is Cole Thompson. My name is Jake Asman. Cole, are you ready to pick some games, baby? I mean, after a slow start for me, I have been on quite a heater. All right. I went 3-0 2 weeks ago. I went 2-1 last week. After a slow start to the year, I am now 12-9 on the season. You had a nice 2-1 week to rebound after an 0-3 week. So entering week 9, both Cole and I, who give out 3 picks every week, are 12-9 each. So I'm not good at math, Cole, but I believe 24-18 overall combined.
Yeah.
That's winning you some money if you take our picks.
I'll let you go first this week. You're 2-1. I always allowed age before beauty, and you're prettier than me. So go ahead and you knock it out.
I don't know, man. That mustache really elevates you.
I know. Tom Selleck.
Ladies and gentlemen, I got 3 games, as is Cole. My first game, Cole, it's a game we actually were just discussing. Here's my first game, and I'm riding with the Detroit Lions. I know they're going on the road, but I think Jordan Love's a little more hurt than people are letting on. I just think the Lions are the best team, not just in the NFC. I think they're the best team in football. I think they make another statement. They already won against Minnesota in their own division. I think they get it done against Green Bay and truly establish themselves as the team to beat in the conference. I know, it's a little scary going to Lambeau and all that. I think Dan Campbell's team is equipped, though, to go in there and get it done. I'm excited to watch this game at 4:25 on Sunday. Give me the Lions laying the 2.5 in Lambeau against the Packers.
Arguably the best game of the week, without question. I think that Green Bay is going to make this a really intriguing battle. I agree with you. The Lions are going to win. But you know who is definitely going to win? A team that probably shouldn't be sitting at 2-6 right now, but because of ownership decided to allow their quarterback to take the field until he literally ruptured his Achilles and was burned off and literally booed by fans as he walked off the field for the final time. Give me the Cleveland Browns plus 1.5 over the Los Angeles Chargers. I love the direction of how Jameis took this team last week playing against the Baltimore Ravens. They're finally getting a healthy version of what you see in Nick Chubb. Their defense still is overall pretty solid. I think JOK will be back. And this is probably the last chance for Cleveland to make a run if they want to get back into the postseason conversation, or they're going to start the fire sale. I know they lost Amari Cooper. They already traded him. But when you look at a guy like Greg Newsome, his value could be through the roof if he has a solid performance and a loss. I just feel like that even though Los Angeles has been questionable at times with a lot of positivity on the ground game, they don't have any connection in the wide receiver core. So go ahead and give me Cleveland. I think Cedric Tillman continues to break out as the new number 2 receiver. I like the plus 1.5, and I'm going to be completely real. I'm riding with Famous Jameis until the end of time.
You love Jameis, man.
I do love Jameis. Famous Jameis is one of my it's probably when athletes come out with podcasts, I tend to turn them off. Jameis Winston is probably one of 3 athletes I'd listen to a podcast about anything.
All right, so you're a big believer in the Browns no longer having Deshaun holding them down, and everything now is changing for Cleveland with Famous Jameis under center.
Winston wins. That's all I can say. We're going to continue to ride hot with that.
He does win. You're not wrong about that. I'm inserting your picks right now. So that's your first pick. All right, Cole. Second game for me. I'm staying with a team in the AFC East. I love the Bills this week, home against the Dolphins. I do. I don't think Miami is that good. I think Buffalo at home, this is a blowout spot for them. I think the Bills are starting to get it rolling here. You look at who they beat this year. They really have blown out most of the teams they played. The Jets gave them a game. In fact, I'd argue the Jets were better that night. They just missed 2 easy field goals by Greg Zuerlein. But needless to say, the Bills come into this game fresh off a blowout over the Seahawks. They blew out the Titans the week before that. I think they're rolling right now. I don't trust Miami in Buffalo. Josh Allen has never lost to the Dolphins at Orchard Park. I think they win and cover. I don't like either team, but I like winning money, and I'm taking Buffalo here laying the 6. I think they win and cover.
You know who I really love? I love comeback stories. That's why we're picking Jameis Winston this week. I'm going to continue to ride that high because Jameis Winston is only the quarterback of the Cleveland Browns because Deshaun Watson's hurt. But he probably should have never been the starting quarterback because Mr. Elite himself guided this team coming off the couch to the postseason last year. And he's going to do the exact same thing down at Indianapolis. Lucas Oil Stadium will eventually see a playoff game. It won't be this weekend because they're playing at First Bank Stadium out in Minneapolis. But give me the Colts at plus 4.5. I love the fact that we are going to see Joe Flacco back in action. I think that there is a lot of life when it comes to his passing approach. I like what we see from Jonathan Taylor on the ground. They're going to trust him a lot more to open up the running game. I think you will see better connections with Josh Downs. I think you'll see the exact same thing with Michael Pittman. The defense does worry me, but you watched as last week as DeForest Buckner came on in and kind of eliminated that second down rush attempts to put teams in 3rd and long. I think they're going to do the exact same thing to Aaron Jones, force Sam Darnold to have to win through the air. But I'll tell you what, if you give me the version of Joe Flacco that showed out all last season en route to win comeback player of the year, this is a team that you have to fear in the AFC. I believe it starts this week. Plus 5.5. That's easy money for me, even if they don't win. I love what I've seen from Indianapolis at times this year. Give me more competition and more consistency at quarterback. I'm absolutely buying it. Plus 5.5. Easy money. Colts all the way.
Plus 5.5. Wait just a second. I'm seeing 5.
Plus, either way, that's still easy money for me.
I'm just saying 5.5, man. That's a big difference, man.
Five. I'm okay with either way. They're gonna win outright, so it's not like it's gonna matter.
Wow, you're calling the upset special.
I'm calling the upset special on Sunday Night Football.
That game was on Sunday. I didn't even realize that game was a Sunday night game. Wow, wow, that game is Sunday night.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
And I just made this pick, and I found out that TJ Hawkinson's coming back. So do I regret it? Probably. Am I going to still ride with it? Absolutely.
Ladies and gentlemen, he's Cole Thompson. All right, I got one more for you, Cole. And I'm calling this one the bounce back. The Ravens lost a brutal one to Cleveland last week. What happened after the Ravens lost a brutal one to the Raiders? They went on their run and looked great. Ravens, -8 against the Broncos. It's a lot of points. I know Denver's overachieved this year. They're playing really well. But, man, I just think the Bo Nix, experiment, I know he's been better of late. I think they're going to run into a buzzsaw. I really believe that. Ravens at home, looking to get right, bounce back after a disappointing loss. I think they cover the number, and they get it done. So I like the Ravens here, laying the big points, but they get it done against Bo Nix and company.
You really are buying into that 9.5 points, aren't you?
Oh, I had 8.5. It's 9.5 now?
8.5 points.
8.5. Okay, yep.
All right.
Yeah, I am. I think they blow them out. I do.
Head-to-head time. Let's go, baby. It's Denver Broncos. I am buying that we are going to continue to see bodacious, sanity, whatever the hell you want to call it out in the Mile High City. It is a miracle that the guy went number 12 overall, but he is the only quarterback that truly fits the identity of what Sean Payton wants to run. I think this is going to be a very close game going into the fourth quarter. Derrick Henry pulls away late with a score. The Broncos currently are giving up only 105 rushing yards. This is going to have to be a really intriguing game for Lamar Jackson. Here's the main question that I have in this matchup, Jake. Will we see Deontay Johnson play? And more importantly, will Deontay Johnson be effective in the passing game? If he can't, then I believe that Denver's defense is legit enough to shut down Zay Flowers. It's legit enough to shut down Rashad Bateman. It's legit enough to put pressure on Lamar Jackson to have to throw into double coverage. I believe that you are going to watch as the Baltimore Ravens walk away with the win. But the Denver Broncos are going to beat that 8-point line. I believe that Bodacious throws himself into the end zone a couple times. This will be a back-and-forth battle. We will see the end of the winning streak for Denver, but it will come with not a plus 10-point differential. Absolutely, I am taking the Broncos. That is easy money. And I'm taking the underdogs almost all this week.
All right, if you're taking all the underdogs, you better start. You better give us a woof before we sign off here.
Woof.
I need more than that. Give me
We going, Jake. We going this week.
All right, cool. A lot of fun. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Hopefully they, let you within 20 feet of a school with that mustache. Appreciate you doing this every week, man. Fun show.
It's always fun when I get to go ahead and act like an idiot and then realize, oh, that's only the second dumbest thing I've done today because shaving this mustache was definitely number one.
Oh, super chat at the buzzer here. 25 says, hot take, Panthers win. Bryce Young revenge game. Wait a second. Who are the Panthers playing? I haven't even paid any attention.
I think they're against New Orleans.
Panthers. Oh, that's right. He got benched against New Orleans the first time. I don't hate it, 25. Bryce Young looked a lot better last week, did he not?
Derek Carr's back, though, I think. That's the part that worries me. Like, if it was definitely Spencer Rattler, I would say take Carolina. And he did look good. The problem is that he's in an organization that is incompetent right now, and nothing's going to happen with it at all.
Question from Dano as well. I had starred for us to bring up here. In your opinion, which game will finish with the largest blowout? I'm fishing for eliminator choices for a week 9. Hey, I really think the Ravens are going to pound the Broncos. I just got a feeling on that. I could also see the Bengals bouncing back in a big way and beating the Raiders. What other blowouts are we looking at here?
I have 2. One is what you just said, Cincinnati. I think they could easily find a way to bounce back, especially with the game to where they kind of need to win to put themselves in the conversation of playing really well. I think that having Derek Carr back is another game that you have to look at because of, again, who knows what you're going to see in this passing attack for Carolina. I know that you could at least get a touchdown or 2 with Derek Carr under center. The other game that I'm looking forward to, Washington against the New York Giants. What version of the Giants take the field? Because you got to remember, they have looked awful at home this year. 1 touchdown, 1 passing touchdown on the year. We tripled that last night with the New York Jets, and they have not been able to play at all consistent this season. But you are also looking at what you've seen from the Commanders. I do think that you are going to see them potentially add in one more name. So this is going to be a really interesting matchup. I think that the Commanders, the Bengals, and naturally the Saints are all potential blowouts this week.
Really, all that matters this week is that the New York Jets won a game last night, Cole.
Sure.
And the Asmaniacs were there to be a part of it.
There's one missing Asmaniac that was not there, unfortunately.
And he has a porn mustache on my screen.
He has a porn mustache and is just really dressed like Magnum P.I. today. So Tom Selleck is back in action. Cole Selleck.
Ladies and gentlemen, he's Cole Thompson.
Selleck.
Follow him on Twitter at Mr. Cole Thompson. Subscribe to his YouTube channel as well. Thanks to BetUS for being our sponsor. Take advantage, folks. Promo code YouTube150 to bet on any of the games you heard us just discussing. Enjoy that 150% sign-up bonus when you, of course, sign up. Cole, all the love, man. Enjoy your weekend, and I will catch you very, very soon. Appreciate everyone tuning in. Subscribe, like the video, and once again, thanks to everyone who tunes in that helped this channel reach 40,000 subscribers.